In the heart of the night, where the shadows play, Steve and Michael begin lighting up the way. Abnormal investigations, whispers in the trees. With boots on the ground, I'm chasing mysteries. Shining lights into the dark, unveiling what's unseen. Through the haunting silence, I walk where others dream. I'm on the ancient woods, where legends come alive. I'll uncover the truth, feel the shadows strike. Footsteps on the trail, echoes in the night, searching for the secrets hidden from the light. Cryptids roam the wild under the moon's embrace. With every rustle in the leaves, I feel their haunting grace. Shining lights into the dark, unveiling what's unseen. Through the haunting silence, I walk where others dream. Among the ancient woods, where legends come alive, I'll uncover the truth, feel the shadows strike. Each night a new adventure in the depths of the unknown. With passion in my heart, I'll walk this path alone. But with every discovery, I know I'm not afraid. For in the woods of wonder, true wonders are made. Shining lights into the dark, unveiling what's unseen. Through the haunting silence, I'll walk where others dream. Among the ancient woods, where legends come alive, I'll uncover the truth, feel the shadows strike. So here's to the night, where the strange comes to be. With boots firmly planted on where I'm meant to be. Where the shadows play, Steve and Michael begin lighting up the way. Abnormal investigations, whispers in the trees. With boots on the ground, I'm chasing mysteries. Shining lights into the dark, unveiling what's unseen. Through the haunting silence, I walk where others dream. I'm on the ancient woods, where legends come alive. from the light. Cryptids roam the wild under the moon's embrace. With every rustle in the leaves, I feel their haunting grace. Shining lights into the dark, unveiling what's unseen. Through the haunting silence, I walk where others dream. Among the ancient woods, where legends come alive, I'll uncover the truth, feel the shadows thrive. Each night a new adventure in the depths of the unknown. With passion in my heart, I'll walk this path alone. But with every discovery, I know I'm not afraid. For in the woods of wonder, true wonders are made. Shining lights into the dark, unveiling what's unseen. Through the haunting silence, I'll walk where others dream. Among the ancient woods, where legends come alive, I'll uncover the truth, feel the shadows thrive. So here's to the night where the strange comes to be, with boots firmly planted on where I'm meant to be. In the heart of the night, where the shadows play, Steve and Michael begin lighting up the way.
Thank you, Keith. So, again, welcome to Abnormal Investigations, guys. Tonight we're going to be talking about a case. It is, I think it's been heartfelt across the community. A lot of people have looked into this case. A lot of people have given their opinions and theories on this case. And I'm hoping to take you all beyond the story tonight. And let's try to at least have a good theory or hypothesis as to what happened to this young boy. Um, we'll get more into that whenever I bring Sky and Amanda on. I'll talk a little bit more about what I'm wanting to throw up about that. But a lot of y'all, now that somebody has asked why the moderators do not show their faces, I thought it was kind of obvious, but let's bring those on so they can answer for themselves. I don't want to answer for everybody. So everybody welcome Sky and Amanda to the show.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Abnormal Investigations. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, Mike.
Hello, Amanda. Hello, Sky. Hope y'all are doing good tonight. So the question is already ringing around now. Everybody wants to know why y'all aren't showing yourselves. I thought it was obvious, but there's some people out there that want to know. Hey, Michael Deere, what's up?
I'll go
Amanda.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go first. The reason why I don't show my face is because I have severe anxiety with just, I can't even talk to my family on a chat call, like where they're talking to me with my face showing, because I have panic attacks. And even talking about it like right now is making me kind of like anxious. So, but that's why I don't show my face.
I don't show my face because I've talked to some of the mods, and can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, and Sharon and Mike and Amanda and I have talked about it, and because of some past trauma going on this channel, I feel like it's just it's just better not to at this time.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need to be judged by our face.
Right. I think there's a lot of ridicule going on right now that is it's just not necessary at this time.
Exactly.
And you also received a pretty unusual friend request too, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, your sister, Rhonda.
Yeah, my sister Rhonda is friend requesting people, and which is nothing new, to go around and to try to incite, I'm sure, trouble and rumors and so forth. But I've
It's
told
unfortunate.
it is unfortunate. And, jealousy is an evil thing, and forgiveness is very important in our life. But you know, people are going to be what they're going to be, and I think everybody knows what's going on with that and who they are and what they're about. But also with the attacks and everything, the memes that have been made about my mom and everything, I've told the moderators that they have the choice to show themselves, not show themselves. My mom was targeted. Of course, my mom's hard headed. She doesn't give a shit. And that's just kind of where we're at right now. We'll see what the future holds. Let's just try to get to July. That's what I'm working on, guys. And tonight's live.
Yeah, we look
So,
like our pictures. I promise we are who we are.
Exactly.
We just
If
don't want
you
to show our faces at this time.
if you want to look me up on Facebook, go ahead and look at my Facebook if you want to see what I look like, because this is what I look like.
Same.
let me answer a question here. Ben says, so why was I muted last night for saying the word shit? Pretty dumb. Guys, I don't care if you cuss in the chat. It is an adult show. Let's try not to do the F bomb. Let's try not to do it repetitively, just shit, damn, and hell everything. But
The
I
mods have
understand.
discretion. Mike gives the mods discretion. So if they mute your word It just means,
Right.
hey, let's tone it down and maybe talk a little bit better.
Yeah. Because I understand people are going to say, doo-doo
Right.
caca or something like that. But let's just try not to do it repetitively, unless you get scared like I do on a boots on the ground. So, guys, I'm going to do tonight's investigation the way I've done it since I have started this show. What started Abnormal Investigations and what originally took this actual investigation I done to, I believe, what was it, 78,000 views was the first that I had done when we done this. I'm going to try to present this to you as an investigator with tangible evidence and to try to make a determination or at least a hypothesis based on tangible evidence, based on the evidence we have at hand. And also, in a courtroom, it would be called case law. Since we don't have case law, we will base our opinion tonight on case theories based off of people that I trust in the community, Scott Carpenter and D.A. Roberts being two of those, and of course Travis Carpenter. The Holy Bible, guys, I believe is the Word of God, and it is the foundation for my life, this channel, my other channel, and also my investigations. So, Amanda,
Yes.
what is your understanding of the case, of a short synopsis of what you understand about this case?
Well, I understand that a 13-year-old boy lost his life from something that they just don't have any clue, that they don't have evidence on what it was, and that a family suffered a horrible loss.
Do you have an opinion as to
What do I think
what?
it was?
Yeah, what do you think caused it?
I think it was a dog man.
Dogman.
Yep.
Okay, Sky, I'd ask you the same thing. What's your understanding of the case, and what's your opinion, or do you need to maybe weigh the evidence, or are you already at an opinion?
I think I need to weigh the evidence a little bit more. I'm really curious to hear what you've said. I've known you've done this investigation a few times. Um, and again, there's not a ton of evidence
No, there's not.
and online, because I feel like when there's stories like this, and this is so unfortunate because it's a minor. This time we're talking about a minor, and this is always going to be more upsetting and sad. It's always sad, but it's more upsetting because this young man had a whole life to live.
Yep.
But I know he was new, or he was visiting family. He was coming to the area. The neighbors had said that they've never seen an attack like this before. Um, so it was very unusual. Um, and again, that kind of lines up with what we were talking about with the last case,
Yep.
how there's something that sort of moves into the area. Everybody's sort of surprised about what the heck is going on. Um, so, yeah, I don't quite have an answer on this one yet, but I will say that it's very plausible that this could be cryptid as well.
So back whenever I first done this case, um, I was met with heavy ridicule. And Walter, thank you so very much for that. God bless you for that. I was met with heavy ridicule, and a lot of the channels that I did not know yet, because I had just entered this field, were not too compassionate of a new channel coming in, doing an investigation on a case that
Not
one
very
individual.
welcoming.
It wasn't very welcoming. No, I was attacked right off,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry, Mike.
yeah, it was a. So one of the channels that was highly, I guess, frustrated, we'll say frustrated at me, was Jeffrey Nadolny. Um, He reached out to me in an email and told me that I needed to back off. This was what he does. I shouldn't do the dog man. This was his thing, and blah, 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 blah,
This was his genre.
blah. Yeah, it was his. And I tried to be friends with him, tried to talk to him. You know, there's enough out there to be investigated, and the more people looking at things, the more you're going to learn. He wouldn't have it. In fact, he went as far as to, there was a gentleman that contacted me out of Kentucky where this happened. And when this guy called me, being an investigator, some of the things that he was telling me were just too good to be true. And it caused red flags. And I told him, you know, that I was sorry about that, that I was interested in his story, his information, his evidence, if he was able to provide hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry about that, guys. I apologize. You know, one of the things that I told him was if he had evidence and it was tangible and he could back his evidence up, that I had no problem putting him on the show. I didn't want to put somebody on the show, present evidence from somebody I didn't know who they was, and I couldn't verify who they were. So I made some phone calls, and I called the police department in that town, and I called the fire department in that town, because this gentleman said everybody in town knew him. Everybody knew him. He was he was prior military. He was this huge EMS guy, paramedic in that town. He knew all about the case. Nobody knew him when I called. So I wasn't able to verify that he was who he said he was, and I chose not to use him or his information because it was unverifiable. He later, after that other channel I told you had got angry about me about doing this case, he later went to that channel and was brought right on that channel and put on as an expert witness, and I was attacked immediately as I was putting out false information, that what I was putting out was not true, and blah, 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 blah. And it just went into more of a smear campaign. Ha ha, I have the witness. Well, if you're doing it for entertainment and you're not worried about the credibility of the person that's talking, then it was a good show. But the guy, not only could I not verify him, but he tried to go on another show that I am friends with. And whenever they started looking into his past, his background, and they call him the paramedic also, he was unverifiable. And whenever they started looking into his background, he ghosted them and would not return any phone calls, emails, etc. whenever he found out he wasn't just going to be brought on to tell his story. So, in my humble opinion, this guy was not a credible witness, and I believe was an attention grabber. That was my opinion of this individual, and that's why I didn't use him, because I could not verify him. And if he was as well known as he said he was, I would have thought somebody at the police department or the EMS would have known him. But they had no idea who he was. So, to me, it just wasn't, it wouldn't have been right for me to bring him on as a witness.
Right.
So what we're talking about tonight is the case of Corey Godsey, a young man of the age of 13. There is rumors, and I cannot confirm it, but there is rumors that he had a disability with a learning disability is what he had. The date of the incident was February 18th, 2020. The location, Knott County, Kentucky. We had one victim in this incident. The encounter was an incident blamed on dogs after a 6-month investigation. The moon phase of this attack, which I'm big in the moon phases, the moon phase at the time of this attack would have been a waning crescent with an illumination of 18 to 28%. Was he a Christian? That is not available, but it is known that that small community is a heavily Christian community, so the probability of him being Christian and been raised in a Christian home is pretty high. The outcome that was presented to the public over this case was the investigation into his death was focused on the dog attack, with authorities determining that multiple dogs were involved, and it was not suspected to be anything other than a terrible accident. The reports describe him as a 13-year-old boy who was tragically killed in the incident. The exact breed of dog could not be determined. This was released after a 6-month investigation. Now, we're getting back into what I like to call a pattern. And what I mean by a pattern is we have DNA collected at the scene. We have DNA that was processed. The DNA again comes back as canine, but unknown canine. So that tells me again that we are dealing with a hybrid. Whatever this was would be a hybrid. It would not be found in the databanks. Just like, again, the Scott Carpenter and Melba Ketchum study, we're dealing with something by definition in the DNA, the mitochondria, and the nuclear DNA, and the data banks that are kept, that is not supposed to exist or be in the woods. What kind of hybrid was it? I don't know. We're going to look at more in depth into that as we proceed into this investigation. There is limited information in this case, but the thing that probably catches my attention is I know today I reached out and I spoke to some colleagues of mine that I worked with, dog handlers, dog trainers, which are all CLEAT certified and do this for CLEAT animals. And they sent me an email that was very interesting with a lot of information. And one of the things that they told me was whenever you have a swab done and you do a DNA collection, a necropsy off of an animal, you collect the DNA, and the DNA, the breed of dog should be able to be determined. We AKC register animals, guys, all the time. Okay? If you're a dog breeder, an animal breeder, if you have high-end animals, then you're going to know their bloodline. You're going to know what that animal is, and they can determine that through blood work. So
I have a little experience in that because I have a registered horse with the Dutch Warm Blood is North America's society, and they do it daily. This is something that's, anyway, I just thought I'd say that because I think that's pertinent to this case, because when you're dealing with a hybrid,
right.
what exactly does that mean?
Well, good question. You know where I'm going to go with that. Excuse me. What I will say is a hybrid. What I believe, guys, the hybrid in these cases, you're going to hear me talk a little bit of lingo here. If in fact it is plausible that a cryptid took the life of this child, and I'm not saying that, I am just using this as a reference and an example, and you get back a hybrid animal that would have done this, and if it were a cryptid, then the reason for the hybrid animal would be the fallen angel's DNA is not in a database at our level. I want to make that clear, at our level,
Right.
which would come back inconclusive, unknown, canine. I spoke to a lab technician that confirmed if it would have come back like that, most generally what would be labeled would be DNA from a canine inconclusive, and it would be labeled as, I got it right here. It would have been labeled contaminated because it would not come up in the system as a known blood type or animal species. So,
And if it was a mixed breed, it would come back as a mixed breed.
Yes.
yeah, I
Pe-
mean,
People want to
right,
say, well, it's
right, because,
probably
A mutt.
right.
well, you know,
But
on
that's
your
about it.
horse, or for example, when we adopted a dog at the pound, right? We got paperwork on the dog when we adopted it, and for instance, it'll say Shepherd, Shelby, uh, something else mixed. They know what it is from the blood type whenever they examine these dogs and do their intake, you know, and
Yeah.
they process the dog, give them its shots and everything. So, but anyways, I think that's where we're at with that right there, and we'll go deeper into that as we go into the case.
Well, but a lot of people want to say, well, a hybrid is multiple breeds. Actually, no, it's not. Multiple breeds is multiple breeds,
Exactly. It'd come back multiple breeds.
and it would say what kind of breeds they are.
Right, absolutely. Um, I mean, we put people to death on death row off of DNA. DNA is considered, you know,
Undisputable.
yeah, it is what it is, right? So,
Yep.
the synopsis on the story is Corey Godsey, a 13-year-old boy, went missing after he left his home to take out the trash. His body was later found on a hillside behind a residence in Hindman, Knott County, Kentucky. An investigation into his death revealed that multiple dogs, estimated to be between 8 and 12, had attacked him. I disagree with that. I want that noted. I disagree with that 100%.
So do
The
I.
dogs involved in the attack were later euthanized as part of the investigation cover up. Authorities ultimately concluded that the incident was a tragic accident, and there was no indication of foul play or intentional harm. The case drew significant attention due to its tragic nature, and the community responded with support for Corey's family. So I'm going to let you all have it first, and then I'm going to tell you what I think about the synopsis that was released.
Okay. I think
I
you mean
apologize.
about what?
Just the whole synopsis that they're laying out. What are the holes in it? What are the loopholes in it? What doesn't match? What is beyond the synopsis? If there's anything that you see beyond the synopsis.
Well, Knott
What is it
County,
not?
Kentucky was very small community where everyone knows each other. So
Right.
there's that. And no one had seen any loose dogs or wild dogs around when this happened. So that part doesn't make sense.
Anything, Sky, you'd like to add?
I apologize. I got an interruption. Could you repeat the question?
On the synopsis, is there anything that you disagree with, and why would you disagree with it?
Not yet. I'll
Okay.
hear more and then I can decide.
So I'm going to disagree right off the bat. I'm probably gonna ruffle some feathers over this one. So whenever they done the investigation into his death, they said that 8 to 12 dogs had attacked him. Right. So with possible
Right.
8 to 12 dogs attacking him,
Hey, Justin, we're
you
we're gonna do our investigation the way we want, and you can do the investigation you want to do it. But everybody has opinions. It's not It's not the end of the world, buddy.
You know, the end is you have 8 to 12 dogs attacking him. Okay, so make a note.
There's just no way he would have been torn up.
Right.
Exactly, because how many times have you seen that many dogs attack something? It's a tug of war.
Exactly. He would have been ripped to shreds.
Yeah, it would have been a lot more trauma than what we had witnessed.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at this right here. So you send your son out to take the trash out, right? And your son goes missing. Corey Godsey's body was found approximately, and there is different numbers on this, but approximately anywhere from 300 to 1,500 feet up a hillside behind the residence of Amelina community in Knott County, Kentucky, near Montgomery Creek Road. The area is described as a rural or wooded hillside area near the homes. Now, the body was found in February 2020, was characterized as extremely difficult terrain for first responders and investigators. Steep and wooded terrain. The body was discovered several hundred feet, again estimated between 3 to 1,500 feet up a very steep hillside in heavily wooded area behind the residence that was difficult for first responders to be able to navigate. Challenging recovery conditions at the time of the discovery, rain and darkness significantly hindered search efforts, making it difficult for responders to navigate the steep grade. Go ahead.
Dogs aren't going to drag somebody that far up a hill. I'm sorry. It's just not. It's not plausible.
Well, and there weren't any dogs reported.
Yeah,
There was
exactly.
a bunch of wild dogs weren't reported, and people in
No
this
one saw
area,
any wild dogs at all.
right?
Actually, wild dogs do come into it here just shortly, but I
But
found
by the coal mine, right?
well, there's a contradiction in reports that I found whenever I went through them, and
Okay,
it
well, that
doesn't.
does happen. So if we get something wrong, it's just because of what people have reported.
Exactly.
Well, this was police reports, and that's another thing that bothered me the most about
Oh,
this is
that's the
because,
worst.
yeah. Now I went through and I called one of my friends, which is a dog handler, and I asked him, "What are the odds that a pack of dogs attack a child, 13-year-old child, and drag him up a very steep hill over rough terrain, 3 to 1,500 feet?" Now, whenever they released this information, they did not release the breed of dog that done this. As you all know, that the breed of dog was not released. So we went off of, for argument's sake, we went off of a Rottweiler. So we went off of a very strong dog, just to be able to give you guys, the audience, a good understanding of the capability of this, of a dog to be able to do this. A Rottweiler is unlikely to pull 100 pounds up an incline with rough terrain due to excessive weight and challenging conditions, which would exceed the dog's physical capabilities and would also go against the dog's typical behavior. He also stated to me that if a pack of dogs would have done that in unison, that pack of dogs would not have worked together in order to move a body simultaneously up a hill. They would have fought over a body like they would any other animal until they were done feeding, and then they would have left the body where it was at, dragging it approximately a few feet just from trying to consume the body. A dog would not have dragged the body that far up a hill to conceal it or to hide it. And not only would it not have done that, he said he believes that the capabilities of the dog to be able to do that, the dog wouldn't even be able to do that, even at a Rottweiler size. So, what do you think of that?
Well, yeah, and the boy was 13 years old, and he was a little bit on the small side, which I understand. My second son was pretty small at 13 years old. Um, so it probably wouldn't have been extremely hard to get him up a hill like that.
but
But
not
I,
by
I
a dog.
still, but not, I don't even think by a pack of dogs. I
No,
think that is,
no.
I don't believe a pack
I
of dogs would have even worked together to do that. You would have one dog pulling one way, one pulling the
exactly,
other. I mean, you wouldn't
exactly.
have three dogs, working together to move an approximate 100-pound body up a
No,
very steep hill around trees and shrubbery, and they're having to dodge all. It just doesn't seem plausible.
nope.
well,
It
and
doesn't make
people
any
get
sense.
offed by dogs in neighborhoods all the time. You hear about it all the time on the news, and it's unfortunate, but they don't drag them up,
They don't
hills.
drag them anywhere.
Right.
They just attack you right there and then, right where you are.
Yep.
Right. So, what I found kind of interesting in the case also is they listed during the investigation, state police say multiple dogs were found living on an old mine site near the area where Corey's body was found. That mine site was about 2 miles from where Corey's body was found. Not exactly being truthful there. Kentucky State Police says the dogs were taken to the Kentucky River Animal Shelter where DNA specimens were collected and compared to evidence. State police say the lab comparisons indicated that specimens from several of the dogs matched those found on Corey. So, when you go deeper into that, what they're saying is they found his DNA on their paws and on their fur.
Okay. Well, that's like, again, like the other case, there's dogs around, and there is, when you have bloodshed, unfortunately, dogs sniff and smell. And was this DNA by the dog's blood or hair? How, or was this Corey on the dogs?
So, I'm going to throw a theory out. Another
Probably doesn't
theory.
say. Probably doesn't say. It's probably vague.
It is. I'm going to throw a theory out. Another theory that I have now. I'm going to put as many theories as I can out by July, so at least I can maybe leave a mark. Uh, Here's a theory. What if? So everybody says cryptids run with the coyotes. Cryptids, people believe that cryptids move with the wolves, right? We've heard that for a long time now. People say, I believe that they move with the coyotes. I believe they move with the woods, the wolves. I have a theory. What if the coyotes and the wolves, the crows, the turkey vultures, the scavengers, what if they are actually what's following the cryptid? And the reason I say that is we know in real wildlife in the ecosystem, it is proven that scavengers follow the apex predator. Scavengers know that the predator is going to make a kill.
And
When
they get
the
their leftovers.
right, when the predator's done, the scavenger eats. What if these dogs or wild dogs or coyotes or wolves, what if the reason they're being found with the DNA on them is not because they're the perpetrators, but because they're just doing what is natural to them? They're coming
Right.
across a dead body that has blood and stuff, and
Well,
what's a
yeah.
dog do when it comes up? It's going to lick it. I mean, yeah,
Every time you get
dogs,
a scrape or something, what does your dog do?
right? And
They lick it.
dogs, and dogs don't even like to eat humans. That's proven.
Yeah.
Dogs do not like the taste of humans. Dogs prefer other things. They will only eat humans in a very, very, very rare circumstance. So they're only doing what scavengers are taught to do. But then,
Exactly.
after you read that report, where they say the coal mines, and they found all these dogs out at the coal mines. Then they come back and they release this report, which really, really blows my mind. Kim Ressler, thank you so much for that, and God bless you.
Thank you,
Uh,
Tim.
they come back and they make this release. So here's your contradiction. The dogs involved in the Corey Godsey attack were reported chained or tied up, and witnesses described them as being aggressive and fierce when approached. However, it's also mentioned that the dogs were normally kept as pets and were not typically loose. The attack on Corey Godsey seemed to be an unusual incident. So why is there a contradiction in the reports as to where the dogs were collected? Why did the dogs go from these wild dogs at the coal mines 2 miles away to now dogs that were collected as pets that were chained up that were very rarely loose? Why is there that contradiction?
Exactly.
Because they don't have an answer, and so they're coming up with whatever is plausible to them.
Or is it because the public was so involved in this case wanting answers for this little boy that they knew the coal mines wasn't going to be a plausible explanation, because people in the community knew the coal mines were not as close to their property as they were making it appear to be in the reports. So they knew they were going to have to fix the reports, because it just wasn't going to fly, because you have a community in an outrage. You have, you know,
They're
people
demanding
seeking,
answers and
right?
justice for this sweet boy,
Absolutely. People are pressuring them.
for
They
this
want
innocent
answers,
soul. Right.
right? And if you lived in this community, Sky,
You would
and
know
you,
everyone.
right, and you read the paper and you read it and they say, that this young child was taking the trash out and he was attacked, but don't worry, we found the dogs in the cave system behind his house. You're going to be like, that cave system's like 2 miles away.
Yeah, there is no cave system behind his house.
Well, they're trying to come up with these theories, and not only that, but when dogs attack, there's usually more attacks, or there's awareness about it in the neighborhood or in the community.
Yeah, they
You
would
almost
definitely
always
know.
hear the neighbors talking about, oh, we ran into those dogs a week ago and they tried to attack us and we had to run away. They
Right.
know exactly what dogs you're talking about.
Exactly.
Especially in a small community at
What did
that.
this community say? Exactly, Mike. This community said, no, we've never heard of any kind of attack like this before. It's
Yep.
never happened.
Yep.
You got to put all of this together, not just some of it.
But there was a man by the name of Chance that came forth with an affidavit that later retracted his affidavit. He stated that he did live by the mines and that something new had moved into the area that had howls like no one had ever heard before, and he had seen it walking bipedally, and he described it as a 7 to 8 foot canine looking creature. He later retracted his report 7 days later.
I wonder why. Somebody was pressuring him to do that. Cover up.
I think that they have went very far in this case to cover up the actual,
Yep.
we'll call it the offender at this time. So the investigation did reveal. Here's another thing, guys, that is going to blow your mind in this, and it blew my mind. I found this, and I've even got it highlighted. The investigation did reveal that human remains were found in the stomachs of some of the dogs involved in the attack, which helped confirm their involvement. The DNA of the human pieces in the stomachs were collected from the dogs and came back as being Corey's. They also collected DNA from the dog's chest, heads, back, stomachs, and it was determined that several of the dogs were involved in the attack. However, the precise details about the stomach contents of each dog were not specified. Okay, so respect to the family, I need to be able to put this in a way that you all will understand without getting
Yes. And God
too.
bless the family and the community for sure.
I don't want to go So
condolences to the family.
the reasons I disagree with this is because the body was not consumed. Okay, folks? He was not consumed. It was not as horrific as most of the cases we have covered. In order for several dogs to have had, and I'm being as best I can without getting into the details.
Right.
For that
And
many
nothing but
dogs,
respect for this case. Nothing but respect.
yeah, for those dogs to have contents in their stomachs from him would have meant that the dogs would have had to have consumed parts of him, which is not true according to the autopsy report. Now,
Yeah.
can we believe autopsy reports 100%? No. Why? Autopsy reports are subject to being changed or persuaded by government officials. If this is a mix-up and somebody released information that they were not supposed to by saying that all these dogs did have contents in their stomach, then that would suggest that the child was indeed consumed. I don't believe the child was consumed. I believe that the autopsy report was probably correct to. It was good enough. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say? It was good
Yes.
enough.
It makes sense.
Absolutely. And it doesn't quite line up with the report, with the
Right.
police report.
So
That's super unfortunate.
since he wasn't consumed, then why are they saying that there was, DNA in their stomachs? It's because I believe they're looking for a scapegoat at this point.
Yeah, me too.
You got to remember they're being really pressured in this case right now. The townspeople want answers. The family want answers.
The case is still open.
And after his attack, the house that they lived in, the mother burned it to the ground. So, as an investigator, what I would have thought was the mother and the boyfriend ever a suspect?
Yeah, they were, I believe.
And if they were suspects, how are they cleared of it? We don't have that because a lot of stuff wasn't released. So pretty much, I believe they were looking for a scapegoat in the dogs. That's what I think.
Yeah, me too.
But we're
I
gonna go.
just can't get over that the boy was dragged up a huge hill like that. And those embankments are not, they're, I mean, this is Kentucky. So
It's like a hauler, which is like a
Mhm.
huge.
I mean, it was a hill. The incline was pretty significant.
Yes, it was.
Search and
So-
rescue had trouble traversing it just to get up it.
Yeah.
Didn't they have to have a basket to lift him out?
Yes.
Yeah.
They couldn't just pick him up and take him down.
Yeah,
This
because
was
that's
Yeah.
a really hard place to get to.
Yep.
Yeah, he had to be lowered. So my friend sent this to me. Normal canine behavior doesn't typically involve attacking and killing a human, then dragging the body over a long distance and consuming human remains. Such actions would be considered highly abnormal and likely the result of a specific circumstance or factors contributing to the dog's behavior. An example: it's highly unlikely a pack of wild dogs would coordinate to move a 100-pound body over a long distance given the weight and logistics involved. Now, in this case, there is the presumability that people have said they believe that a mountain lion could have done this. I absolutely disagree. The reason I disagree is not just because I disagree. I will give you a reason. The reason I disagree is because whenever you look at mountain lions, cougar attacks on humans, they're not only rare, guys, they're extremely rare, even on children. And when you look at the death of a human by a cougar or a mountain lion, it's even more rare that you have a death. It does not happen. Not only does it not happen, there's also none of these animals reported in that area. They're not even supposed to be there according to the wildlife department. There's none of them there, not even any bears. And another reason that I would disagree with it being a cat is because being an investigator, I look at the tangible evidence of every case. That's what we're taught to look at. There is no DNA evidence that a feline was even involved. So to me, that rules out the probability of a feline being involved in this. And what we're looking at, according to the DNA from the autopsy report, that we are dealing with something, it is canine in nature. We also have canine feet print at the scene, which would also indicate a canine creature, dog, hybrid, whatever you'd want to call it, at the scene, wolf, coyote. But we know whatever was there, it carried canine DNA. It was not a cat, it was not a feline. If it would have been a cat or a feline, guys, we would have saw
Bite
different.
marks, prints, all kinds of tangible evidence that was not there.
And
Oh, there would have
also
been
a
DNA,
mountain lion,
DNA everywhere.
yeah, and a mountain lion drags something and then buries it for later.
You know, I think that's why they tried to use the mountain lion, and I'm going to put it as the scapegoat, because that would almost make sense of the moving of the body,
Yeah.
the placement of the body. It's almost kind of like they tried to make it fit a narrative. But whenever you're investigating, you follow the evidence no matter where it takes you, even if it takes you where you don't want it to take you. That's how you typically will find, the truth. The truth is, and the facts are, the only evidence collected at the scene was the DNA of Corey Godsey and the DNA of an unknown breed of canine. That's the facts. There was no feline DNA collected at the scene. That's facts.
Well, and there was also a fact that there was canine prints. Now, were they
Absolutely.
larger than it? Well, and we know that they weren't even wild dogs. These were neighborhood dogs that had gotten loose at a time. So,
Well, even to push that up even further, he sent me this, and when I read this, I was like, how did their investigators not even consider or find this? Because dogs consuming human remains after an attack is extremely rare and considered abnormal behavior, often resulting from specific factors such as extreme hunger or environmental influences rather than typical canine behavior. Now, an example that he sent to me was dogs generally do not prefer human flesh as a food source. Um, they tend to avoid consuming it unless driven by extreme circumstances such as hunger or environmental factors.
Yeah.
And then he sent me his opinion. He said, my opinion based upon relevant information that I researched is these dogs would not have been interested in consuming him, seeing as they were not leashed up, that they would have preferred to find rodents and other animals to eat. So they wouldn't even, in his opinion, and he is a professional, in his opinion is they would not have attacked him according to typical canine behavior and looked at Corey even as a food source if they were hungry.
right.
So What's your thoughts on that, Miss Sky? We'll start with you
Well,
first this time.
I think that the dogs, it's possible that they were licking wounds, and because that these were pets, and dogs, I'm sorry, some people may not agree with this. I think they're emotional animals just like people are. um Yet they are more wild than we are. Yes, I agree with that. I think that there were possible licking. And if you've ever had a scrape or a cut, have you noticed that your dog wants to lick it, help take care of you? Or for whatever reason they do it, they do it. And I think these dogs heard some commotion, wanted to know what was going on, and not necessarily coming to the rescue, but trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And there was some licking involved. I don't think that there was any consumption. I think that's bullshit. I think that was, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. I don't think that it's true. I know it was written in the report, but I don't think it's true.
I don't think the dogs had anything to do with it at
Okay.
all. I think that that was a lie, and I think that it was put in there because they
Hmm.
needed something to blame it on. That's why.
And keep the community happy.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, Mike, we can't hear you.
Mike, you're muted.
Not to not to even just call it a scapegoat, but whenever you look at the information and you look at the contradiction, uh, one of the things that I noticed is they said that he had, parts of him in the stomachs of these dogs, and then the autopsy report, when you read it, the child wasn't as torn up as what people think the child was.
No, he wasn't consumed at all.
So that contradicts even having the contents in the stomach, and also
Yeah.
he had an open casket funeral.
Yep.
If this child would
Well,
have
there you
been,
go. Probably
consumed,
probably shouldn't have wrote that in the report. I think that's what's caused all these problems.
Yeah,
there's just
exactly.
so many contradictions.
This police department, my goodness, what did you do?
It's it's almost like they're
It's a
covering it up.
it's
Now
a super
it's
small town though. So
well,
Hmm.
you got to
but
remember that their police department's probably not as
but alleged
smart as a big
but
one.
but allegedly the FBI took over this investigation.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
So they would have had any resource available to them that they would have needed.
Right.
So is this a cover up? That's what we have
Yes,
to ask ourselves. Is this a cover up? Because like
But the
I said,
FBI is synonymous for covering things up as well.
exactly.
right, because I even went into, I told you my new theory that I said about, the scavengers and all, and I looked this up. This is what I came up with. Could coyotes and other scavengers follow these cryptids and then eat the leftovers of what they may leave? An example that I found was scavengers like vultures, coyotes, or foxes might follow predators to feed on the leftovers of their kills. These scavengers play an important role in the ecosystem by cleaning up carcasses and recycling nutrients. In some cases, they might even compete with other scavengers for access to remains. Whenever cadaver people go out and practice and have left bodies in the woods in order to see what happens, they have noted one of the best ways to find a body in the wild is to look for the scavengers, and then you will most generally find the body.
Yep, always
So,
look for the birds.
right, and here's a scary part that people might want to pay attention to. Another thing that they have noticed, if you have a lot of scavengers in an area, it was noted that most of the time there was not a predator in the area.
Yeah.
But if you found an area that had no scavengers and a body, 99.999% of the time, the apex predator was still in the area.
Yep, because everything runs.
Is that why when we're on boots on the ground and everything goes quiet, everything picks up because the apex predator is in the area?
Probably.
So the average weight of a 13-year-old child is approximately 100 pounds. the breed of dogs was never determined. I'm going to change that, guys, and I'm going to put it like this in my own words, and this is just my opinion. I'm going to ruffle some feathers. I'm going to say the breed of dog was never released that allegedly attacked Corey. I believe they know what done it. They just did not release it.
Yep.
Because they admitted themselves that they destroyed the dogs. Why did they not release the breeds of the dogs? They
Then why is
had
the
them,
case still open if they destroyed the dogs?
Exactly.
so you can't file a FOIA on it.
Huh.
You can't.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, they caught the dogs. They put the dogs in an animal shelter. They done a necropsy on the dogs. They DNA tested the dogs. They had the dogs in their physical custody, but yet they can't determine what breed of dog done this. Bullshit.
Exactly. Bullshit.
That's a lie. I do not believe that, and I do not buy that. Do not.
Right. You know, you can buy your own DNA test for your dog on Amazon.
Yeah, I've seen those.
I mean,
You can buy it for your cat too.
yeah.
But a crime lab can't determine the breed of dog based off the DNA.
Yeah.
There you go.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
So at the time of this, the state medical examiner's office, they confirmed Corey was killed in some kind of animal attack. There's the key word: some kind of animal attack.
Yep.
But was not able to determine the specific animal involved. How in the hell can you not determine what animal was involved whenever you have the animals that you say done it in custody? You say you found DNA in their stomachs, you found DNA on the animals, you said they're the ones that done it, you destroyed them, you burned them, but yet you don't know what breed of animal they were, what they were, and you can't determine the specific animal involved. How in the hell does that happen?
And then you
How?
go from blaming a bunch of dogs, wild dogs that came from coal mines, from the neighbors' dogs to the family.
Exactly.
I
I
mean,
don't
let's
I don't get it. That just does not add up.
Nope.
right.
It does not add up at all.
Well, wasn't there another case very similar to this, not too far from this?
They're
But
actually in eastern Kentucky. Uh, they people argued in. Okay, so that guy that was the paramedic guy that I said wasn't credible. He said,
yeah.
"Oh no, people aren't going around saying that there's animals in this area over here and there's nothing goes on over here, and that was a lie." And he was referring to me because he was mad at me, and that doesn't happen here. It doesn't happen in this. Okay, dude. BFRO alone has over 500 reported cases in eastern Kentucky.
Exactly. Kentucky's a hot spot.
Right. So this guy, I believe, was going to try to spread misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
So here's where the problem, I think, starts for the authorities. I think the public starts to figure it out because they come out and they say, well, several factors initially led the community online to speculations to question if the attack was caused by something else. So now even the community is not believing the lie that they have put out. The community is even starting to question, okay, so our police department has told us the dogs that killed Corey were at the coal mine behind his house. There's no coal mine behind his house. They're telling us they got the dogs from back there. Well, they couldn't have got the dogs back there because there's no coal mine back there to get them from. But now they told us that they've took the dogs from people that were their pets that were chained up that were very rarely loose, but they were the ones that done it. But we're going to throw in they were aggressive when we approached them. Of course they were aggressive. Dogs are territorial. They protect their property. Put them on a chain or an fence, you just cause that to get even larger.
Sounds
They
pretty
they were
identical to the Amazon case to me.
right. Right. I mean, they were doing exactly what they were trained to do. Uh, the
Get an
people in
answer.
the people in the city are mad. They're wanting an answer. They're saying this is bullshit. Why are you lying to us? A 13-year-old boy that possibly allegedly had a mental disability has lost his life. There are other children in this neighborhood. There are other pets in this neighborhood. There are senior citizens, I'm presuming, in this neighborhood. Everybody is at risk of whatever done this, and y'all are lying to us. We don't believe it. We want to know what's in our community, what
Mhm.
took the life of this child, and what is endangering the rest of us, and are we even safe? Are
Right.
we safe to go outside? You know,
Exactly.
Amen, Mike.
they're setting
Damn.
up. They are setting up in their city, guys. In my opinion, they are being very, very just
Untruthful.
ignorant. Yeah,
Yeah.
ignorant, because they are setting up, guys, another atmosphere for another Brenda Hamilton case to happen,
Yep.
because they're giving everybody a false sense of security that they have caught the perpetrators that was involved in this case. They have destroyed them, and you're safe. And it's bullshit. I get mad. Sorry. I
You
expect
know,
more out of
you're
officers.
passionate about it because we're talking about a 13-year-old boy. And when we're talking about learning disabilities, what are we talking about? ADD, ADHD? I mean, uh, are they trying to make him look stupid? Like he just, oh my God, he was probably a very intelligent child, a very loved child,
Exactly. He was a child nonetheless. And that's
right?
not how you, like, I can't believe they even said that about him. Like, that has anything to do with it, you know?
Right. Trying to discredit this young man.
Yeah.
It's like they done in the Tony Aaron's case, the Amber Miller case. If you're a drug dealer or you have a prior past history, then maybe it's okay if something killed you, because it really doesn't matter. And
Yeah,
that's where
that's
I get
wrong too.
really mad in these cases. It really, I'm sorry, guys, I got a little bit, but when I look at this,
God bless this beautiful boy
Yes.
yeah,
and his
I
family.
mean, I was a captain, I was over investigators, I was over officers, and I don't know who their captain was up there or who led this, but my God, you should expect more out of your officers. I mean,
Yes.
this,
Mike, I don't think they had a lot of control. I think once the FBI came in, they said, this is what you do, this is what you say, this is
Now we have the authority over everything.
right. But who knows? Could be the officers, could be the police department.
you would hope
But
that
by
they
God,
weren't.
if this was one of our kids, we sure in hell would want to know.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I would not stop until I knew.
Everybody blamed the mom for the house burning down after the incident, but what if the mom didn't burn? Okay, here we go. I'm going to take it right down the road. So, what if the mom didn't burn the house? Because we know that it was shortly after
Because
the
grieving
the
parents do
the
crazy things. And
did
Yeah,
she?
true.
But here's a question for you though, and this is what I would like to know, and I'm probably going
Maybe
to
she
piss.
didn't do it.
Oh, I'm going to piss some people off right now, because what I'm going to say is, what if? What if she didn't burn the house? What if the house was burnt to cover up evidence or to move people out of that area because they knew something was there and they didn't want to take the chance of something else happening when they already said they took care of the problem? Another thing that I would also say is, after the child had lost his life, it was apparent and it was spread around that the mother was told not to even talk about the case. She was told to hush and to be quiet, and it was as it was. If that's in fact true, I wonder how nice of a house she's living in now and how much her life has changed.
Yeah, I wonder that too.
to any
Yep.
parent who's lost a child, it's devastating.
Yep.
Was she paid off, though, to be quiet? Just like the McNeilis case in Oklahoma, whenever they were a poor family that was struggling day to day. Her child dies under mysterious circumstances. I spoke to the dad uh, after the death of their child. The state takes care of all their funeral expenses. They get a huge GoFundMe page, and they're living in the country in a 2-story house. And she writes, "I'm now living my dream."
Wow.
That's
Men,
kind of sick.
the men in the black suits were allegedly at that place too, and I had an EMS lady that confirmed it to me that they were there.
Right. I'd rather have my child than have all that money.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely. I would want to know what took my child's life.
I
What
wouldn't
ended,
stop
you
until
know?
I found out. I
Right,
wouldn't
what
stop.
right, what ended my child's life? That's what I would want to know. You know, but you look at it, the police department's now under pressure. Undetermined animal type is what they're saying. But for months following the February 2020 incident, the Kentucky State Medical Examiner's Office could only confirm the death was caused by an animal attack. The child bled to death from a injury to the left side of the carotid artery. He had blood in his lungs, which asphyxiation, but could not specify the species. This lack of immediate identification fueled rumors about the predators in the town. The townspeople were not happy. Authorities were being pretty pressured at the time to come up with what took this child's life. I believe they were looking for anything to close this case and to get this off of their desk, because not only is the family and the community at this point requesting the truth, requesting answers, it has now went viral. People are picking it up. Other cities are picking it up. People are talking about it. They have to come to a conclusion. What's the best conclusion? What have they done? In most of these cases, you blame it on a dog. And then what do? You kill the dog and you burn the dog. That way you can't go exhume the dog and re-investigate the dog from a third party. You just have to rely on what they done was the truth and that the situation was handled.
Yep, on their hearsay.
They are telling you that you have to take them at face value. So,
Bullet
Dang,
points.
Mike, you got passionate tonight. Wow.
do what?
You got passionate tonight about this one.
Oh, it just frustrates me when we have a little bit more. I'm sorry, I'm frustrated.
No,
I
I'm saying it's good.
I just expect more out of professionals.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen things in my life I didn't want to see, and I think that when we deal with the loss of any human life, it doesn't matter who it is, what walk of life, where they come from. Everybody deserves the same respect. And
Exactly.
I'm just going to say this: they could have done this way better.
Yes, they could have.
In my opinion, they could have done this way better. Location of the body. Corey's body was found approximately 1,500 feet up a steep wooded hillside. We knew that behind a residence. The difficulty of the terrain and the distance from the home led some to speculate that a larger or more powerful predator might have been involved. Now, this is where the case takes a little bit of a turn. So, Fish and Wildlife got called in. My question is why is Fish and Wildlife called in whenever they're saying a domesticated dogs or what done this? But anyways, that they called in Fish and Wildlife. Fish and Wildlife came in, and if you read between the lines, Fish and Wildlife aren't even buying their story. Fish and Wildlife are saying in their own report, they're saying, we don't believe this was dogs or anything. They said in their own words, guys, this is a larger, more powerful predator than what you all are saying was involved. Because
Did we ever
Fish
get
and
any
Wild
answers on the bite marks, Mike?
actually on the child, when you look at the autopsy report, I'm not going to go into everything. If the other channels want to go into that, they can, but out of respect for the family and the child, I'm not going to talk about it because it is very gruesome.
Yeah,
Exactly. He was not
Right.
torn up, but there is things I believe that do not need to be discussed that are not pertinent
Right.
to the case. It would not change the case. So out of respect, I will not go into that. If it would change the case or brought what I thought, an importance to it, I would talk about it, but it doesn't, so I don't believe it. But as far as the bite marks that you're asking about, we had the same pretty much there
That it
was
was
nothing.
canine.
There was nothing pretty much listed as bite marks.
Okay.
It was just listed that he was killed by an unknown breed of canine,
Yep.
which you would
Unknown.
think you would
Unknown.
think right. You would think in an autopsy report it would be clearer. They would have the bite marks and stuff, but honestly, the child appeared to be scratched deeply in areas more than he was bitten.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That would be the best way I would know how to say it. If there was a bite, there was a single bite to the left side of the neck, the carotid arteries and stuff, and the windpipe and everything was crushed, which would have made it where he would not have been able to yell. They did find blood in his lungs, which is a sign of asphyxiation, which means his throat was sliced and he was still alive while he was dying.
It said
Um,
something about his lips too, his lips being bitten.
yeah, they said it was a he had cut. They called
Yeah.
it superficial, I believe, superficial cuts. So a lot of scratches. So
And the
Deep
scratches could have been
scratches.
from going up the hill.
No, these were
Possibly.
claws.
well, the scratches
The
yielded
superficial.
canine DNA.
Okay. Got it.
Again, though, you have to ask yourself, did they really? You know, I mean,
Exactly.
it makes you question so much in this. So listen to this, though. This is what I don't understand. The authorities come out with a statement, and we're going to have to speculate a little bit on as to what we think that they were saying. The authorities described the scene as, quote, as bad as it can get, unquote. And the autopsy noted injuries that were exceptionally severe because fatal dog attacks on teenagers are statistically rare. Some found it hard to believe a standard pack of dogs could cause such devastating trauma. Now, to clear this up with everybody, and they don't clear this up a whole lot right here, reading this, people would think that this child was in bad shape. That's not true. I believe what, and this is bad community relations. This is bad media release. It should not have been released that way. I'm going to get mad again if I don't come. But you don't release from the authorities, you do not release to the public about a child or anybody and say it was as bad as it could get. You don't do that.
Exactly.
I think what they were meaning to say is it was a child that had lost his life, and those are the worst ones. I think that's what they were trying, but it's worded bad. It shouldn't have been said that way. The autopsy noted injuries that were exceptionally severe. There was some severe injuries, that is true, but they were not a lot of injuries. Because fatal dog attacks on teenagers are statistically rare, that is true. Some found it hard to believe that a standard pack of dogs could do such devastating trauma. And I think when they're talking about the devastating trauma, they're particularly talking about the trauma to the left side of the throat. It's my understanding that the pressure and the damage that was caused by whatever bit that side of the neck was such a tremendous force that it was more than what a dog could exert in a bite.
Did the report say if the hyaloid bone was broken?
It was.
Okay, then that's got to be very strong.
Right. And I think that's what they were, I think that's what they were trying to cover up so much was it wasn't necessarily the gruesomeness of the attack. There was some gruesomeness of it. I'm not going to talk about that because I don't believe again that it's significant. But I believe that
is significant, but we're not going to bring it up.
Right. The severity of that one bite, the I would even go to guess, guys, and I would say that that bite was probably an atypical bite, um, and that the bite force exceeded any canine animal that they knew of, and I think that's why they had so much trouble with it.
I agree.
Right. Yep.
You know, they came out and said, the area was surrounded by strip mines, which some locals believe could harbor unusually aggressive wildlife. But here's the thing: everybody knew that it was 2 miles away. But you tell me, and I'm going to let you and Amanda discuss this part, and then I'll chime in. I don't want to lead the witness too much in this, but so the wildlife department makes a statement. I give those guys a little more credit because those guys have quite a bit of college. Believe it or not, wildlife departments guys, they have a lot of college. They have a lot of training. Some of them even have more training than your state police. So the wildlife department made a release, and this, I wouldn't even have put this in this show tonight if they wouldn't have said this one word, and it really caught me. They said, in this area, there's a lot of strip mines, and locals believe that, wildlife and all that could live in there, and there could be wild dogs. But then they say this: we also believe that this area holds ballistic, aggressive creatures. Creatures
Bingo.
being the word.
Bingo.
Yep. Creatures.
Ballistic, aggressive, unusually creatures.
And they would know.
Exactly. They would definitely know. And usually they don't admit that stuff.
Right.
I mean, there's not a lot to elaborate on that because to me that's a key word.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean,
I think wildlife got it down.
I wouldn't even have used that if they wouldn't have said that.
Right. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that you caught that, Mike. That's impressive. And I'm glad you did. I'm glad you saw that
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I think there's your answer right there.
There is your answer right there. We
So,
knew it wasn't dogs.
yeah, presumably. But so
You
they're being
have to
pressured.
go with tangible evidence. And unfortunately, and somewhat, police reports are not always tangible evidence.
Right. Even though they're taught not to express their opinions, they are human and they do that. I've had many officers express their opinions and reports, and when they would come in the next day before I would send them to juvenile services or to the judge, I'd say, you need to fix this, because it was my butt too, being their FTO. If they screwed up, then, it rolls downhill.
Well, it sounds like wildlife got it right. And the police department were maybe a little weary and a little scared to write exactly what they felt because they could have had the pressure down their backs from higher ups just saying, hey, you need to keep this on the down low. We're going to make this more of a problem than anything.
Yep, I think the FBI definitely hushed all the people that they needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And this is for entertainment purposes only, guys. This is allegedly what we believe, and this is our opinions based on
Our opinions.
on the facts.
And that's it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so
Nobody
I want to make
else's.
sure. Yeah, I want to make sure that I get that out there, and we will go ahead
Good job, Mike.
and put this out there too, just to, because I know I went off on a little bit of a. So
No,
let's
you did a great job on that.
let's
Yep.
put this out. What do you say? Let's do this here
Entertainment purposes only.
just to cover ourselves. So
Yeah, and you guys please don't come out and just call us liars because we're just making
We
theories.
know the
Just
facts that everyone else knows. that
Right.
you can look up these facts just like Mike did and just like we did
Right.
and find it out for yourself.
Right.
The only
There's no
things that I
reason to
would
come in and be nasty about it. So,
the only things I would have different than anybody else would have is I reached out to colleagues that still work that are professionals. So
Exactly.
I do have professional opinions,
right.
and I
That's
thank them so much for their help and taking the time out to, their busy schedules to
absolutely.
be able to help me.
And
And
thank you
all
guys
these
for that.
are opinions. That's all they are.
So we know that the police department at this point is under pressure to be able to come up with a resolution and, an offender, what caused this, right? So this is what we read here. The uncertainty ended in August of 2020 when the Kentucky State Police announced that DNA samples taken from several, here we go again, now it's feral dogs again, captured at a nearby mine site matched evidence found on Corey's body. Why did they mention above that the dogs were chained and very rarely off their chains at the ones they found? I think the reason they had to go back to the wild dogs is people in town were talking and they were saying, "Hey, Leroy, they come and get your dog. They didn't get my dog. They get your dog, Chuck. Nope, they didn't get mine." So you got a small town, everybody's talking. They're like, "Well, then who in the hell's dogs did they get?" And they're saying, "Well, I
Right.
didn't get my dog and I ain't heard nothing about it." And then they're down at the coffee shop, the donut shop, and everybody's putting two to two together. So they're saying, "Oh, no, 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 no. Yeah, it wasn't domesticated dogs. We found a bunch of wild
Feral
dogs up there,
dogs.
up there on them strip mines."
Down at the donut shop talking to the town pimp.
Yeah.
Exactly. They all know each other, and they all know each other because it's that small of a community.
Right.
Right. And it's just
There's only
thank
2 stoplights there.
Yeah, it's a small place. It's rural.
and
Good
12
places to
dogs.
live. Good people too.
Yep.
Good people. They just want answers for their baby boy. That's all they want.
And they deserve that.
They do
Yes,
deserve
they
that.
do.
Everybody
Everybody,
deserves their answers for
I think
their children.
everybody says I was entertaining. Yeah, I get a little aggravated sometimes when I see things. I try not to. So I found this, guys, and I thought this was pretty interesting. What do you think about this? Injuries were considered atypical. Damn, I got one right. For a domestic dog attack, primarily because the initial autopsy could not pinpoint a specific animal species that matched the bite mark on the child. This medical ambiguity, combined with several specific characteristics of the scene, led to months of local speculation. Inability to identify the species for 6 months. The state medical examiner's office could only confirm the injuries were consistent with an animal attack, but could not distinguish if they were from a dog, coyote, or other predator.
There you go.
Again, how do they not know when they're saying they have caught the dogs responsible for it that had the DNA in the stomachs and they were destroyed? You know what I think's happening? I think you have an autopsy doctor that took his oath seriously and he said, "I'm not going to lie on this report."
Yep.
And he put the truth. He put, due to the inconsistent information, he could not determine if it was a dog, coyote, or other predator, and he underlined predator.
Yep.
Very interesting. Underlined predator. Wildlife creature.
Uh-huh. Ballistically unusual.
Ballistically. Yeah, don't
1
forget
+
that
1
part.
= 2.
Yep.
So, extreme severity of trauma. Local officials and funeral directors, including some with over 50 years of experience, stated that they had never seen anything like this before. The sheer level of destruction to the body was more reminiscent of a large apex predator than any common stray or wild canine dog. Let that set in.
That tells it all right there.
Right.
I hate how dogs are always the ones that get the bad rip, for these cases. It's just sad.
Well,
Here's one.
and dogs inherently want to be around people.
Exactly. Dogs are mostly good. I mean, there are dogs that attack people, but that's
Oh
very
yeah,
rare.
it is, and it almost always makes the news. So when you hear about it, you're like,
Exactly.
oh no, not another one. But
But it's
it
very
it
rare.
is on the more rare side.
Well, what about this, though? Does this not blow your mind? Not only was the body located 1,500 feet up a steep mountainside that was hard to traverse, investigators at the scene of the attack likely agreed that the attack occurred on the lower part of the mountain, which is where the child, I'm guessing, was at. But the child appeared to have been carried up the hill and not drugged.
Exactly. That's my whole thing. Something carried that little boy up that hill.
So, if you want to say a feline done it without the DNA, because there was no feline DNA, I don't think it matches. There was no feline footprints. Even with all that said, a feline would have still had to have drugged him.
Which
It's
I think a wild cat could do, but there was no wild
absolutely
cat found there was no DNA of a wild cat. So that to me crosses it out.
right
As an
there.
investigator, if I
Right,
was one, I would cross it out because there's no DNA.
Exactly, Sky.
right, because we have to look at tangible evidence, and if we go out,
Yes.
speculating and alleging, then we're just adding extra things to the fire that doesn't need to be there. Because when you look at the evidence, it's canine. The DNA is canine. The DNA is Corey. There is no feline evidence,
Right.
and I think that to add another animal into the mix that doesn't belong, where there's no tangible evidence, is only confusing and exaggerating the incident, and it does harm to the family more than it does good. Try to stay
And,
with the evidence.
and belittling the evidence that they do have.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. And that's so sad because
You
you're
okay?
confusing the family, you're confusing the community, and you're throwing out all these extra theories and
Exactly.
makes
That don't
you
need to
really
be.
want answers. Mike's having a coughing attack, poor guy.
I did that the other night.
Oh no.
I had to
That's
mute myself because I was coughing so bad.
mm.
Hi, everyone in chat. I hope you're all having a wonderful night tonight.
Yeah, I'm reading some of the comments.
Yeah, my throat gets dry when I get to talking.
You
You're
okay?
doing a good job.
Oh, just doing a lot of talking.
Yeah, you are.
So, let's see. I guess.
Yeah, they wouldn't say what kind of breed of dog it was, I believe.
Yeah,
They never did come out and give a breed. Is that right, Mike?
yeah.
Yes.
They never would, and that's what's so weird.
Right. And then they brought the word out hybrid, didn't they?
Yes, hybrid was used.
So they knew that they were dealing with a canine hybrid.
Hybrid. Hi, Blue Biddy.
So, based on that information, I'm going to give. I'll let y'all give your final thoughts first. I'll go last this time.
You
So
want to go first?
yeah, so to wrap this up tonight, Amanda,
Yeah.
I want to let you go ahead and give your final thoughts. What you think with everything, just everything considered.
What I
You know
think,
what?
what I
What?
think did it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I think it was a dog man, and I think that he was probably carried up that hill and then attacked up there and left up there to die. That's what I think. Because I think whatever it was definitely carried him away for him to be that far away that he was. I don't think he was dragged anywhere.
Okay. Miss Sky, what is your ending final thoughts of this case?
Well, with the evidence that's been provided, and unfortunately, I don't think all of it is true. That is my personal opinion. And if anybody disagrees with that, that is totally okay. In fact, you guys may have better opinions than I do. Um, what what I think happened is I think this was a cryptid attack. I think that this poor family will probably never get the answers they want, um, unless they actually come out and start saying that, cryptids are real. And it's
When that
unfortunate because
happens.
this is going to keep happening because they won't talk about it. They won't bring it out to the public. They keep hiding it
Yep.
and they try to sweep everything under the rug, unfortunately. But we're dealing with a 13-year-old beautiful child that was God given to this family. And I think
Yes.
this is
Prayers
really,
for
really,
the
really
family.
sad. Yes, prayers to the family, of course, and close friends and in the
Yes.
community. It's
Yes.
it's absolutely horrible and awful to even talk about, listen about, but uh, you know, as investigators or people who investigate the cryptids, I think it's important to talk about.
Yeah,
I
me
think it's
too.
and that's why I'm here. And I think that this family was subject to an attack and they want answers just like everybody else does. I think the community badly wants answers still to this day. I think Fish and Wildlife have it right.
Yep, I do
If
too.
they, I think their investigation went, better than others. And I'm not calling anybody a liar. I just don't agree with some of the evidence that was provided.
Thank
Um,
you, Tina.
but I think that God rest his soul and prayers for the family. But yes, I think it was a dog man attack.
All right. So, my final thoughts. Based on the information that I have at hand, my opinion is it was not a feline. Absolutely not. It doesn't fit the narrative. It doesn't fit the evidence. It doesn't fit the facts. There's no tangible evidence to support that. So I'm not even, I'm not even sure that we can.
We can't
Uh,
even entertain it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think we can. We
exactly.
can't. Yeah, I don't think we can. I don't believe we can entertain it.
Hello,
Um,
Hillary.
Based on the contradictions in the reports as far as feral and then back to domesticated, back to feral, back to domesticated, and then the doctor that performed the autopsy saying that the bite marks didn't even fit a dog, probably more of a predator. I believe he was probably one of the more honest people in this,
Yeah.
due to how the dog was, or yeah, how the dog was uh, presumed to have had several dogs' DNA of the child in its stomach when we know the child wasn't consumed. I believe was a fabrication in order to be able to use the dogs as a scapegoat. Uh, I believe that the child was attacked, and the injury to his throat was the first injury that he sustained. That's why nobody heard any hollering or yells for help. I believe whatever done this had the knowledge to know that it had to make him quiet in order to do what it was going to do. I don't believe dog's done this, and I have to go on just the information that it is not typical, excuse me, for a pack of dogs to attack a child and then to work and coordinate together to move a child up a steep terrain. They would have been more fighting over him than they would have been working in, in concert with each other to do that. It just doesn't fit their
Well
typical
said.
behavior. I believe whatever done this presents knowledge and motive of something more human-like. I'm trying to think how to say this. I think that you need to look at the possibility of someone the child may have known actually done this to him, or cryptid would be my other. But whatever done this had the knowledge, the strength, the coordination, and the ability to move him up that hillside. And if it was, God, I hope not, humans that done this to him, humans would have took more than one and they would have worked together to conceal him. I sure pray that's not what happened. If it was a cryptid that done this, then absolutely would have the strength, the power to be able to do that. They wouldn't. I don't think they would have any trouble doing that. But I think when you look at the evidence, there's one thing that we can all agree on at the end of the day, as vague as it is, and with what we only have left, the one thing that we can, I think, agree on is this was not a common or typical canine that was at the scene based upon the evidence, the autopsy report, and the opinion of a doctor. The DNA supports that whatever was there is not in the system. It is not a recognized animal. The bite pressure on the throat also is consistent and corroborates that. So whatever canine was there that was undetermined or unknown breed was not something that we're familiar with or our data banks are familiar with. So
Exactly.
that's pretty much, I think, what we have to leave it with. I believe that's all that the evidence supports, and in my opinion.
I agree.
Good job.
What's your thoughts?
I agree with you.
You
I mean,
agree?
I think it was a dog man. That's my final. That's what I think it was.
Yeah. I think, Mike, you nailed it. I think you did a wonderful investigation. I think you really looked into it. It's not the
Yep.
first time you've looked at this case, and you've had time to really go over it, research it, look at it. And again, anybody has the right to their opinion, guys, so please be nice. Mike has been attacked on this before, and there's no reason for that.
Exactly. We all have our own opinions.
Right. But I think, Mike, you did a really good job.
Yes,
So
you did, Mike.
good job on that.
Well, I appreciate that. I just used the methods that I used for over 12 years as an investigator. I can actually say, if I wanted to, I could say that I was a professional. I have a piece of paper that says I'm a professional. I don't look at myself that way, though. I feel that everybody has the opportunity to be able to look at the evidence, apply common sense. It's just when I went to school, I was taught different techniques at how to look at evidence, how to weigh evidence, present evidence, and
Right.
I just don't think that you could change this any other way. I mean,
Right.
unless you wanted to go against, like what Sky reiterated several times, and I agree with her that you cannot go against tangible evidence. You have to stay
Yeah.
with what the evidence supports, because if you go outside of that, then you're kind of building your own narrative, what you want to have happened and what not really happened, what's not supportive.
Then it's just
Yes.
speculation.
Exactly. It becomes another folk story, another folk tale.
Yep.
Right. Well, and then you've got contradicting written down reports that
Right.
contradict itself. So it's hard. I think it's hard for people to draw their own theories on
Absolutely.
this because of the contradictions in these reports, and it's, and it doesn't necessarily make you wrong, but I think that
And,
it was wrong to write some things in this report that
It
was
was
written.
sloppy.
and just
It
the
was
lack of
done
real
sloppy.
evidence. The lack of real evidence.
hmm
So
I think
what?
it would be better and great if they would redo the report.
Yeah, me too.
I think it would clear up a lot of things in controversy.
So what's our next case, ladies?
What is our next case, Mike?
We've been looking at old cases. So, is there a case that you want to go over? Any of I've done that you want to dive deeper down?
Not any that I can think of off the top of my head, but the Amber, what's the Amber one? The Amber something?
Amber Miller,
Yeah, that one.
Sky. What's our next case? She mentioned Amber Miller.
Sky is not here.
I'm
Oh,
here.
there
She
she
is
is.
here.
Sorry about
I was
that.
like, Sky is not
Peekaboo.
here.
Do we want to go Amber Miller? Because that will actually involve two people, won't it? And Tony Aarons. I think they go
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
right?
They do go
Yeah,
together.
let's do that one.
You want to do that one?
Yeah, that
Yep.
one sounds good.
All right, guys. We will be working on that one. Ladies, thank you for joining me tonight. I think you all gave a
Thank
lot
you,
of
Mike,
insight
for
to this.
letting us come on.
Yep.
My
Thanks for
my
having us.
my pleasure. And we will be working on this, guys. As soon as we get it done, we will let you know. Thank you, everybody in chat, for being here tonight. God bless you guys. Remember,
God
keep your head
bless.
on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. Absolutely. And
God bless
we
you all.
we
And good
finished
night.
another one, guys. So we're signing off another time. We'll see you next time, guys. Thank you for being
Have a
here.
good night. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
In the heart of the night, where the shadows play, Stephen Michael Bickey lighting up the way. Abnormal investigations, whispers in the trees. With boots on the ground, I'm chasing mysteries. Shining lights into the dark, unveiling what's unseen. Through the haunting silence, I walk where others dream. I'm on the ancient woods, where legends come alive. I'll uncover the truth, feel the shadows thrive. Footsteps on the trail, echoes in the night, searching